Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings Podcast. I'm Tyler Metcalf, joined, as always, by Tyler Rucker. Rucker, bit of a week hiatus for us. Apologies, had some bigger stuff come up, but we're back for this week. Rookie Roulette's coming back next week. How you doing?
We're hanging in there. I think we're it's sometimes we gotta have a bye week, and sometimes bigger stuff happens. So yeah, we're doing good. I'm hanging in there. I'm breathing. Woke up today, so it's always a good start. But yeah, punching forward. Metcalf, I wanted to talk to you about this, and I forgot. How are we feeling? Do you want to go a little off script before we get draft mania?
Sure, why not?
Okay, all right.
We're in the housekeeping portion of the intro. This is the banter portion. We get to have a little fun.
I feel like we need to just sometimes do this a little bit more often, and life is just so all over the place. I figure it's only fitting for me to just throw a complete curveball. I was listening to a lot of NBA talks today, and educated, good talks, not the evil empire. What are we thinking about Jimmy Butler? What are we thinking about the saga? What are your thoughts? Like,
been there, done that.
No. I'm being serious. I know you have been, because it is funny, but like, I was having this talk with my friends the other day, and I was like, if you get motivated, Jimmy, I think it's like probably one of the most holy crap, like addition in terms of like superstars. I feel like he could be like the easiest superstar to plug alongside some other guys. Like, yes, I'm talking about him going like Phoenix or Golden State, but it's really a fun like inner debate. Like, you really gotta have some guts right now to be swinging for that contract. If you're going all in, that is a scary one, because you better be right.
Yeah, it's going to be a no for me, Bob.
I didn't even realize that you're the perfect person to ask about this.
I mean, my favorite thing about the whole thing is Heat media and fans being shocked and appalled by this whole. It's like, this is what he's done at every stop he's been at. It's what happens. So I don't know. It is who he is. Like, he is who he is. He's an incredibly talented and skilled basketball player. He's also getting up there in age, and we're kind of seeing the fall off. Do I think he probably has another big season or two left in him? Of course. Do I want to pay him for that? Plus, once that fall off really gets here? No. Do I want all of that nonsense in my locker room? No. Like, if I'm the Houston Rockets, I don't want any of that.
Oh, no.
No, thank you. So if I'm Memphis, like, he fits. I love the basketball fit of him there, but like, do I really want to upset what they have going on? Not really. So
I still think Golden State's the most interesting. Like, screw it, we're all in. Like, we have to do this because we've got no shot. Like, we have to bet on a long shot horse at the track. Like, we just have, and it's a heck of a swing, because Jimmy's motivated. Jimmy Butler can really turn things around in a hurry. Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green on the same team is a terrifying idea, but also probably awesome. But I don't know. It's just fun, because I'd love to see him go to Phoenix because of obvious reasons. I have a Suns friend, shout out Neem, that was like, is he going to be that good of an addition if he somehow landed here? And I was like, well, if you're talking to me about replacing Bradley Beal with Jimmy Butler, yeah, he'd be pretty good. So, I don't know. I just wanted to get your thoughts. There's a lot of interesting things going around. De'Aaron Fox and the Spurs seems like it's talked about too much, so it's not going to happen. I don't know where else he'll go, though. I just wanted to see what you're thinking.
That's kind of the only team that keeps popping up for him. But
doesn't it happen so much then that we're like, oh, someone jumps in out of nowhere and trades from him, and we're like, where the heck did that come from? I just don't know who that team's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing. All right. Well, I appreciate it. I just,
All right. Well, other housekeeping notes. Everyone hanging out in the chat, watching live on YouTube, appreciate you. Hit that subscribe button while you're over here. We're rapidly coming up on 12,000, so would love to get there soon. So if you're watching, enjoying what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button. And then, we got a ton of other video stuff and with mid-season highlight film. We'll have end of season highlight film. You can watch all of our pods live, a bunch of film school videos up, and so much more from earlier in this draft cycle and going forward. Written pieces up on the site, NoCeilingsNBA.com. A lot of really, really good stuff. Busy week for Maxwell. He had a spreadsheet sleepers up on Monday, a breakdown on Yaxel Lendenberg from UAB, really interesting player, and then his in-person scouting notes from the Rutgers Northwestern game, where Ace Bailey put on a show yet again. I believe those will be up Friday afternoon. I think that's what the schedule's looking like. Also, Rowan Kent put up an awesome piece on Asa Newell, and some genius wrote a really in-depth breakdown on Jaden McDaniels' offensive improvement and how the Timberwolves can continue to get more out of him going forward.
I like that. We're cooking right now. Rare form tonight, folks.
We're having fun. All right, Rucker, let's dive into the episode. This is our last one. We did panic meter because we're kind of in this time of year where tough decisions need to start getting made, and the kind of leash and the leniency time's kind of up for that. And we got to start seeing who these guys really are. But that doesn't mean we're not still struggling a lot with some of these evaluations. So we're both going to have 3 guys in this draft class who we're just really struggling with. And I'm going to throw it to you first. Who are you really struggling with?
Wow, I thought you were going to, I feel like, talking to you all day, you were really ready to bring some heat and go first. It's, let me just rant on some philosophy. Coffee's kicking in way too hard tonight. So just let me get this out. I feel like there's always these guys where I'm just struggling to buy in completely. So it's like anyone I'm talking about tonight, I feel like, I don't know about you, it's not like I'm like out. It's just
No.
I'm really struggling to get an appropriate range on my board. Usually when I'm evaluating someone, I'm like, hey, I'd like to throw numbers out right away to be like, hey, 15 to 25. I'd love them there. Then I keep tinkering and evaluating, seeing like, okay, probably move them up a little bit more. I'd like to take them, later. These guys I'm all just kind of struggling with because I could see them going everywhere. The first one for me would be Noah Penda. And I feel like you're going to be pretty passionate about this one.
Yep.
And it's not any slander to Noah Penda because I've done my deep dive. I'm very intrigued. International film's always tricky. The bad sometimes is better than it looks. The lack of minutes sometimes, and I'm not talking about Penda, I'm just talking about like with international film. Sometimes you get guys that barely play and you're like, man, they do nothing. And you have to remind yourself like competition level, league, youth, like you have to remind yourself. Then you get guys dominating and you have to remind yourself of the competition level. So it's tough. You have to balance both of those worlds. And then you have to go like, in a weird way, it's no, it's not that. In a weird way, though, I will say I was going to be like, it's the Amen Thompson since he's a hot name right now with the OTE. You have to trust what you're seeing in person and be like,
talk about overthinking it. My God.
Well, it's also important. That's why in-person scouting is the most important thing. Like you have to go see what they're like when it's not just the cameras are on. You have to see what it's like. And I feel like Penda, every time I'm watching him, there's a lot of stuff I'm like, oh man, intrigued. Like good vertical pop sneaks up on me, some good playmaking. But it also the other side of the fence. Like I really like his defense at times, love it. But then I'm like, is this good is this a good international player that's just looking really impressive with the flashes and I'm intrigued with the tools? Like, is this going to translate to the next level? Does that make sense? Like, do I see this as effective on the NBA level? Do I see this role similar right away? I don't know. I'm just struggling to take that next leap with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm by far the lowest of the No Ceilings crew on Penda.
Where do you have him?
Like 70s.
Oh! Oh, okay.
Um,
I have him into my first. I didn't think.
60,
Oh, so
68.
help me
Sorry,
help you. Help me
68.
help you. Okay.
I
Wow.
just I don't get it. I don't get it. I think he's a really smart passer. I think he's a really good team defender. His rotations are always, he's where he needs to be. But he's just, I don't know. I don't get any of the defensive pop that and like playmaking and overall effectiveness. Like, yeah, he's good on his rotations. He rarely gets back cut. He doesn't make mistakes on that end, which gives him a solid floor. Um, he just looks like the same player he was 3 years ago. And he's been with this team for at least the last 2 years. It just feels like there hasn't been that leap or growth in his game. And I I know I'm just going to read off some numbers here, but like his three most common play types, so like 56.5% of his possessions, 47th percentile overall scoring in points per possession, 43rd spotting up, 23rd percentile in transition, 7th percentile as the pick and roll ball handler, 53rd percentile shooting off the catch. One of those weird guys where 97th when guarded, 14th when open. Don't know what that's about. Second percentile shooting off the catch, 31.5% from three, 30th percentile in at rim finishing. I don't get it. Like
it's fine.
Is he just Jeremiah Robinson Earl?
There's
who
a lot
I really
of
like coming out of Philadelphia.
There's a lot of names you could rattle off in that similar world that just didn't work at the next level. And that's what keeps me like, because I watch his on-ball defense, and he's a smart player.
Yeah,
he's really
very smart. Really smart player on both ends.
Yes, he's very, very smart. If he was going to stick at the NBA level for a long time, it's going to be because of his IQ and awareness on both sides. But like, I will watch his on-ball defense, and I'm like, this isn't going to last with quicker guards. Mm-hmm. Like this will be a problem. They will pick you apart. Now, it's just tough because it's funny you said Jeremiah Robinson Earl, because like that's the type of player I'm looking at, and I'm like, you really have to be like sturdy, strong, and really effective to stick with this type of like frame and archetype, I guess. I don't know. Like, do you get what I'm
like the dream archetype of what he could potentially one day maybe become if you squint and tilt your head enough? It's always that Draymond Green ideal, and whenever that name gets invoked, you screwed up.
People freak out. Yeah,
exactly, because he's one of those guys that you cannot compare anyone to.
And then people would be like Boris Diaw, and I'm like, no, you can't. We can't also just do every international guy that's not an incredible athlete, that's a forward. It's just a little funky. It's like the idea of Sean Marion without the athleticism. So like you just keep putting these gadget guys or the shooting, like
or the insane on-ball defense.
Exactly. So like you're trying to get this, like, what, better athlete Grant Williams? I don't know.
Is he that much better of an athlete though?
I don't know. It's tough because
Grant turned into an insane corner 3-point shooter.
But no one's gonna have that. He's got good length, right? Like so, and he has some vertical pop that you're kind of like, where the heck did that come from? It's just what I'm struggling with. I've moved them up. I've moved them down. I've got them like end of first. I get why some people are drunk in love. I get it. I also get why you are just like, hey, I'm out. Because
also, like when we saw this guy 3 years ago in FIBA, I was like, oh, this is an intriguing combination of skill, IQ, and size. And then it's been the same thing every single year. And there hasn't been that leap. There hasn't been a major step in athleticism or shooting or playmaking. Really smart decision maker, smart passer, smart defender. But there's a cap on that. And then, if your counter is Kyle Anderson, okay, maybe
that you're cooking on something there.
But I also think Kyle Anderson is a savant. And again, that's a really, really tough path that a lot of guys and teams have fallen victim to in terms of chasing. And I think Kyle Anderson is a guy who's succeeded and had an incredible career in spite of so many deficiencies. So
it's a type of player teams chase now, and it's getting harder to chase that because of like the way the game is still translating. I feel like this is one that like he goes away for a while, then some team finds one, and then every team wants to find one. So then it's almost you overdraft because this is where the drafting of the idea. Like some team's gonna love with the idea of Noah Penda. It wouldn't shock me if he just goes to the right fit and he's awesome because of like what they want him to be, but seems like a player that really needs to go to like a unique situation that just lets him get the ball. He gets the ball a ton, and he's got to be effective.
Really good rebounder.
Really, yeah. A little bit of a Swiss Army knife, but I just also feel like is a lower usage going to be just as impactful? You know,
if his name was Nick Peterson and he was at Wichita State, would anyone have him in their top 60?
Probably the Draft Sicko guys. Shout out to the boys. Like they probably would. Probably Nathan. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Okay, so a little bit of this or that.
Yeah. Gosh dang it. That's what I forget. Graphic. Okay, go ahead. I gotta get the music.
Penda or Ruzic?
Penda.
Oh, okay.
What have you seen from Ruzic? He's been out with a bionic or metal shoulder.
I thought his defense was nasty when he was
Ruzic.
Healthy. Yeah.
He's the Winter Soldier right now. He's got a metal arm.
Exactly.
Like, we haven't seen him for
so once he comes out of cryo freeze, like
skyrocketed.
Penda or Lindenberg?
God, that's a tough one right now. Lindenberg, Yoxel is Hanselhot right now.
Penda or Darian Williams?
Penda.
Okay. Yeah, that's just.
Wow, are you on the Darian Williams? Anyways,
I mean,
we went 20 minutes. We're almost 10. All right. Well, hey, it's just one.
I promise I've really, really tried because I see people who I think are really smart and do the work, have him like fringe lottery, and I've tried to see it. It's just I
have more respect when people say I tried, I can't. I have more respect for that. And me and you talk all the time about like, hey, if we're wrong, we're wrong.
Yeah, and
it really yes. And when I am like struggling with someone, I watch them like psychotically. Like where I'm like, and then I will come back but like when I finally have been like, hey, I've exhausted everything. I can't do it. I will still do one more at the very end of the year, and then I'll be like, all right, I'm done. So I get it. All right.
Now, if he goes to like Memphis or OKC, I'm really like, I'll miss that one.
Yeah, 100%. Like if we're talking about it, I was like, oh man, if he goes to OKC, we're all in trouble. Yeah, I don't know. All right, who do you got? Let's flip the script. Help me help you.
Let's move on after a quick break. Moving on to a guy I was really, really intrigued with coming into the year. I still like him. I have him top 20, kind of late lottery range. Kon Knueppel, shooting guard from Duke. I like so much of his game. 81st percentile overall points per possession, 91st percentile spotting up. That number really surprised me, actually, given how the shot's been. 53rd percentile off screens, 37% from three, 50% at the rim in the half court. He's really strong. I love the defensive fundamentals. I really like the off-ball creation with his ability to kind of run a second side pick and roll, some DHO stuff, attack closeouts, get to the middle of the floor, smart passer. I love all that stuff. It just feels like everything on offense is extremely difficult for him right now. And, if he's shooting 42%, am I singing a different tune? Probably, but he's not. I think he's a better shooter than 37%. I like him. I really want to love him. I'm just struggling to kind of get over that hurdle.
He's becoming the most frustrating one because I feel like this is always the dangerous one for me, where you're evaluating the floor spacing guys that don't have that elite speed, but have some like quickness, hesitations, but it's not fantastic, but it's like just good enough to create a window. Like
He's just really methodical and really strong.
because I agree. And people were trying to say this about Dalton Connect last year, and I was like, absolutely not, because Dalton is a phenomenal athlete that will throw down on your whole family if he gets a runway down the lane. And I Dalton was just quick too. He had a little bit slitheriness, like getting downhill, getting through traffic. Kon, I feel like just it really relies on that tough window. He really needs to get that limited spacing. But then I always get to a point too where like, well, NBA, like more floor spacing, is that going to help him on early? Like, it's always a tough one.
Because like if he's struggling this much against college defenders, now some good college defenders and a good league and all that kind of stuff, but still a huge difference between NBA defenders. So how drastic is that drop off, or does the role and responsibility level just get lessened so much that we see that even further uptick in off-ball shooting?
Right. Yeah, and then maybe the role does, like you're saying, like maybe that makes him even more dangerous. I think that's the most tricky part of some evaluations, is you have to remind yourself of like the next level, immediate less attention, because he's going to be drafted to most likely a team that's much better, like talent around him, and he's probably not going to be going top 10 like we were thinking maybe to like start the year. But this is like the perfect Kon breakdown. His last 5 games, he had 19 points, 15 points, 0, 25, 13. Like it's been one of those,
yeah.
And I think you get a couple bad games, and then you get all of a sudden 2 out of 3 are fantastic. And I don't know. I'm right there with you. That's the one that I'm struggling with. I feel like I'm waiting for the heater, and to like see how long the heater is, of like, okay, like, is there going to be a little bit more, or am I going to be like, hey, I'd love to get Kon in the late teens?
I kind of hope that's where he goes, because I think he's going to
late 20s.
No. Because like I think he's one of these guys where I'd be surprised if he flamed out entirely. I don't think that's going to happen. But if he goes top 10 or even late lottery, that's a whole different set of expectations, where if you get off to a slow start and you're more of a guy who kind of really hits the scene running in year 3 or 4, that's where it gets really tricky, because it's like, you're a lottery pick. You should be doing this stuff immediately. And I just think there's going to be a bit of a steeper learning curve, given the kind of lack of explosiveness, how difficult it is for him to create space and kind of generate easy looks consistently. I've just really been struggling to figure out like who his comp is, and I don't love any of them. I ran a query and I looked at guys who were first round draft picks, who shot over 37% from 3, with over 12 3-point attempts per 100 possessions, but had a free throw rate under 25. And the names that came back were senior year Denzel Valentine. Hate that. Sophomore year Steph Curry, senior year Baylor Shireman, sophomore year Buddy Hield, sophomore Tony Snell, and freshman Bones Highland. And the only one that I can kind of see in there is Buddy Hield. But again, Hield was a 4-year guy at Oklahoma, and he's had his ups and downs throughout the league. I don't know. I like Kon a lot. I love the strength. I love the IQ, the decision making, the strength. Just something feels off or missing or leaving me wanting more every time I watch.
If he goes to a team where he's not going to be like, hey, could Kon be the second or third option early on? Like if you just like, hey, we're getting Kon Knueppel as a nice piece on our team. I think that's where you could find some fantastic value. Like Jaime Jaquez go to the Heat. Right away, we were like, oh man, what a smart pick. And I think you just like, there wasn't a drastic need for it, but it's also like, hey, we'll just figure it out. I don't know. He's a puzzling one right now because I think that's where you're projecting up. I'm like, you're not going to just all of a sudden get much faster. You're not
right.
like, his game is more bully ball and try to get into you,
Yeah.
and you can figure that out. But I think if he goes to a team with a little bit more floor spacing, maybe like a system that a little bit more spreading it out, and then he can kind of pick you apart that way. Yeah, for sure. But definitely a tricky one. Shireman one, it seems like a good little comp, maybe.
So the only other kind of NBA name that I'm really intrigued with, and it's more so kind of role and how numbers and stuff can change from going from one level to the next, and situation based, is Isaiah Joe, where I didn't love Joe in college, but it's clear that dude was a nasty shooter, and he was just put in a situation where there's so much more offensive creation thrown on his plate that is like, all right, this is not this just isn't the same context or responsibilities that you're going to have at the next level. So instead of viewing him as one of the primary perimeter creators or like a number 2 or even a number 3, instead of as a fifth option in a lineup who can space the floor out to 35 feet and defend at a solid level and rebound and make extra passes. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. This is also the classic, like, everyone's cooler on him, and workout season, Kon Knueppel is the hottest name in the NBA
I expect
world.
him to shoot 88% in the gym in workouts.
I'm telling you, Metcalf, this is the classic, like, Kon is interviewing really well. He didn't miss for about an hour.
Yeah.
In his workout. Like, these guys happen. We saw Patrick Williams just skyrocket up the year of like, oh my gosh, he's gonna go win. Like, and I'm not saying they're similar. I'm just saying like that month is very dangerous time in the draft season, and Kon could benefit from it. But I think there's real questions. I also think there's just gonna be some teams that still are buying into the idea of what he could become. So I don't know.
All right, who do you have next?
I'm gonna go Ian Jackson. I don't know what to do with him. I don't know what to do with him. This is the part where I'm like, hey, I really like this guy, but what am I doing? like, do I have him way too high? I still got him in my first.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Ian. I remember watching his stuff last year. Saw him this summer at a camp. Still was a big fan. He's a bucket getting machine. Cooled off a little bit right now, but he was also on an all-time high, like heater. What else? He's in the Ace Bailey, hey, we don't really care about assists club, which is my favorite club this year. It's a great club. Memberships are free.
Passing's overrated.
Passing's overrated. If the ball goes to the hoop, we don't need to pass. What
do you think his assist rate is?
Negative?
Whopping 6.4.
Yeah, so for everyone, we need to, I'm going to make a graphic about this. Give everyone that doesn't just know about assist percentages like a quick little rundown of like what would be an average assist rate for you right there? We need to do this more often.
Well, like double at least in like the 12 to 18 range is typically
like 7 times that. No.
Typically anything below 10 for like a guard or a primary offensive option is really concerning. The 12 to 18 range is typically acceptable, and then once you get above that, that's where it starts turning, green and encouraging.
It's tough because I know that team, L.A. Cadeau is a fantastic floor general with like his playmaking and stuff. And I know they have Ian. They need guys with offense, and they probably have turned to Ian and be like, "We need you to score, man. Like you got to just."
He's like,
bet. There's still stuff with his game I feel like maybe isn't on full display. I when I watched him in person, I thought there's some fire on the defensive side of the ball that I think is just waiting for someone to mold it. Kind of, I'll give my second to Thompson. I think Ime Udoka with Amen Thompson is kind of unlocked the consistency, because when I saw him in person, I think I said it on a podcast, which is fantastic if someone can find it. But I was like, if he ever buys in to just being a menace defensively, we're on big, big trouble. And now it's starting to happen. But I think culture, situation, coaching come into that. I still think with Ian, like, you could see the competitive fire he has on that side. I think he just needs someone to unlock it consistently. And right now with North Carolina, he might be kind of focusing on the offensive side of the ball. And I get it, but I'm just struggling a little bit because I guess I don't know if I'm buying too much into there's way more to offer, or you know what I'm trying to say? Like, he's a one-trick pony right now, but the trick is very fun.
So I'm kind of going back to the defensive stuff. I like his on-ball defense a good amount. I think he moves his feet well. I think he's a big-time competitor. The off-ball stuff struggles, especially when he has to chase through screens. His screen navigation is really bad. Feels like that's a really common theme with a lot of these freshmen this year, is that they just love running straight into the chest of the screener. Which is not an effective strategy. But I think the defense in general is solid. It sucks because his defensive playmaking numbers are almost non-existent. And he has a block rate under 1 and a steal rate of 1.2. Not ideal stuff. But he's just kind of like this offensive firepower right now. He's this spark plug for them, and when the shot isn't really falling, when he has a cold night, it can look really bad. But overall on the season, an effective field goal rate of just under 57, 38% from 3, 56.5% from 2. They're not awful. It'd be nice if he drew a few more fouls, but free throw rate of 28.9, it's okay. 89th percentile overall points per possession, 56th percentile spotting up, 79th percentile in transition, 88th percentile in isolation, 93rd percentile in pick and roll scoring, and 38% from 3. So I think if you know what you're kind of getting out of him and play to his strengths while also really trying to cultivate the defensive end and use him as a spark plug scorer, potential 6-man, Malik Monk, Lou Williams type of guy, I think there's a lot of just big time room for growth there. And everything I've seen in person, going back to Hoop Summit, what we saw from him at FIBA a couple of years ago, he's already improved a ton. And I think he's really coachable. I think he's a really good teammate. I think the intangibles are all there. He would be one of these kind of raw, big time wild card freshmen that I'd be pretty excited about taking a swing on in the late teens, early 20s.
I think you get him in the 20s, you're pumped.
Yeah.
Like, I would be thrilled if I was a team up there, like, even like Brooklyn, if they have one of those picks. If I had multiple picks, I'd throw one at him for sure, because this just might be, different situation. If he was somewhere else that was just, he was the lead dog and we're seeing big box score, like he had kind of Boogie Flans set up right now, and we might be talking to Ian Jackson in the top 10.
Oh God, Ian Jackson and DJ Wagner in the same. Oof.
No, I'm just saying, like Boogie is like, hey, Boogie's running the show when he was healthy kid. But Ian, I think, it's always tough when you're going to the big schools with the vets, because you got to earn your minutes, and it takes a while for the cream to rise to the top. And I don't know. I just intrigued. I still got him. Where do you have him? I have him in my first, but
he's definitely in my first.
20. I got a mid-20. Yeah,
I'm at 20. So just like the way that his numbers kind of compare to some former first round picks currently, and the tricky part here with a lot of these guys is they were all multi-year guys, which always makes this annoying. But for guys who had an effective field goal rate over 55, assist rate under 10, free throw rate under 30, max height of 6'6", and was a first round pick as in their freshman or sophomore year. We had freshman Gary Harris, freshman Nick Stauskas, freshman AJ Griffin, freshman John Jenkins, sophomore Jalen Tyson, sophomore Corey Kispert, freshman Christian Brown, freshman Desmond Bain, and freshman Corey Kispert. So I think they're like, especially like the Christian Brown, the Desmond Bain, those guys have turned into really good players, especially Bain, a little kind of step ahead of that. But if the shot making really grows, or if the defense really takes a step up, I think there are a handful of names in that group that provide him a pretty clear path to return easy first round, if not top 20 value.
Yeah, I mean, he should go first round for sure.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely should go first round for sure, because it's not, these scouts aren't going to be only saying, this year, because Ian's had a good, Captain Jack has had some good foundation of, evaluating for scouts over the years with like playing overseas, I'm just saying like FIBA. He's been buzzing. So I think there's too much potential. And I think he'd be a guy teams would be working pretty hard to get in for workouts. Also could see a team training up for him, like to go get him. If you're in that 20s, you might be like, we just want him. Let's just go get him. But I like him. I'm just trying to figure out the full, like, okay, how much do I like you?
Yeah.
Like, that's the one I'm struggling with a little bit, because I'm like, am I buying in too much on an impressive scoring stretch? Like, it's a good little debate you can have. You could buy like, hey, this is legit, or you could be like, could I see something else? So I don't know.
Okay. Let's take our last ad break, and then we will move on. Okay. My next guy is, I hate that I'm here, because I loved this dude last year. Really liked him. Still really like him. I just can't get back to the top 10, like lottery lock. Collin Murray-Boyles, who I have him late teens. Where do I have him? 19. I'm struggling. I still really like him.
So everybody, welcome to, this is why we did the whole podcast, is to get to the Collin Murray-Boyles hour. Okay. Why? Help me help you. Why?
So
what made you jump downward? Go into the deep end. What made you finally be like, I'm jumping in? You did a cannonball, moving him down.
What's been the point of improvement from last year?
Done.
Okay.
Here's my thing with Murray-Boyles. Completely agree. I texted you when I was doing the deep dive and then for the YouTube. Thank you guys for watching this. And I was like, this has been the least favorite one that I've done. I was like, I'm very like, ugh. But then I take a step back and I'm like, if I was that size, that quick, that powerful, would I be going to the hoop every time? Yeah. Like, I wouldn't be shooting threes. I would just be like, I could take everybody off the dribble. So like, are we punishing him because I'm doing the same? I've moved them down because I'm just like, ugh. But are we punishing him for just being like, I'm stronger than you? I'm getting to the hoop, like for taking good shots. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, because like, I mean, you look at all of his scoring efficiency stuff, it's bonkers. Like, all of his numbers, the rebounding rate, the assist rate, the turnover rate, the block and steal rates, the effective field goal rate, the offensive rating, the BPM, everything looks fantastic. And then it's like, oh, well, he's a 6'7" center. And I don't know what to do with him, because I love him as a player. I love so much of his tape, the defensive versatility, the hands, the passing. I don't know how much it translates. And it feels like that whole, like we said during the Noah Penda segment, of, are people just trying to find the next Draymond? And, hey, maybe this is the diamond in the rough. Maybe that's him. But I think if you're chasing that, you are almost always going to get in trouble, and you're almost always going to lose. is there context out there that I love him in? Yeah, there are a lot of them. But if he doesn't end up in one of those, if the shot really isn't a thing ever, how does his game really translate to the NBA level to warrant a top 10 pick?
I mean, what does my roster look like?
Like if I'm San Antonio, I'm very excited about him.
I mean, because I keep. What about you? Got Sohan?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm doubling down on that. I mean, Jeremy's looked good this year.
Yeah, no, he is.
What if my roster looks like perfect for this type of player? You could talk to me. You top 7. Now everyone's roster is not going to be ready for that. So then I can see him slipping a lot. He's really damn good at some important areas. But there's just, I wanted more this year. Like he takes a couple threes and I'm like, it looks good enough to shoot. Like it looks fine sometimes. But then I get to the point where I'm always like, am I getting mad at him for just being like, I'm going to bully everyone and get around the basket? And the playmaking's better than I thought, Metcalf. But
yeah, no, he's always been a good passer.
It's what if he measures in at 6'7" and isn't shooting?
Yeah.
It's no slander to Collin Murray-Boyles. That's just not going to be an easy buy for every team picking super early. So that's why we keep saying, like, you're going to have a very specific roster fit. Like, someone's going to have to be like, we really could use this. A rebuilding team, if you envision a future with this, yeah, absolutely. You should probably be a big fan of what if this is a Draymond? You know what I'm saying? I hate throwing that name out, but like, what if it is for our team? Like if Detroit had more shooters and didn't just draft 4 straight defensive guys, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It just seems like this could be like a missing piece to that rebuilding team. So I can understand if a team really, really likes him, but I don't know if I'm taking him like top 6, top 7. Unless it's just like he had the best workout with us. He lit up the room when we talked to him.
Which
we need this. Which could happen.
Maybe. I hope it does. Yeah. I would have taken him top 10 last year. But it's a different draft. It's a new year. Data points have changed. But just like kind of going through the lottery, Washington at 1. I kind of weirdly enough like him in Washington, especially if Sarr actually shoots it. But you're not taking him at 1.
No.
Utah, don't love it. New Orleans, don't love it. Charlotte, Brooklyn, Toronto, Portland, OKC, kind of, yeah. But at 8,
they would do it though.
Sure.
That's when you start getting those rosters. You're just like, Presti would be like, I don't give a shit what pick it is. Like, he'd be like, yes, we got him. Thanks. Like, what, 4 spots earlier than the mock draft? Go ahead. Sorry,
Chicago, San Antonio, Sacramento, Golden State, maybe. I like him fitting with Steph in that, high IQ offense, but how much of that do they have left? What's the realistic runway left on that build? But, maybe if they move Looney at the deadline for another piece and then bring him in as kind of a replacement for that, I can see it. And then Houston, which again I don't love, and now we're out of the lottery, so I don't know.
New Orleans is weird. I don't know why you said New Orleans, and I was like, it's too early. But
his numbers are horrifyingly similar to Zion's at Duke.
Except one stays healthy. I know what New Orleans needs to do. I just feel terrible for that fan base. Like, absolutely terrible.
They have a fan base?
Exactly. I just feel awful for, like, if I could find a Pelicans fan, like, DM me, like, I just want to say, like, hey, I'm sorry. Because, like, their team is so much fun. They have such a fun roster that you're like, man, this should be awesome. Missy looks great and stuff. But they're like, I know what they need to do. I just need them to have the guts to do it. Right, they won't do it, but they need to do it. I don't know, man. CMB's tough. because I really like him, and then I'm like, man, I'm like kind of out, but it's like I'm not out. It's just like I'm out of like lottery. I don't even know where I have him right now. Our boards are due soon. I don't know where I have him. I moved him down though, because
And like I that's where I kind of keep doing, and I don't want to. I just if it was purely a who do I think is like one of the better college basketball players in the country right now, he would be higher. But that's not what these rankings are. We're trying to project this to the next level, and if I hate boiling it down to, oh, is he a shooter or not? But a lot of the time, that's kind of what it comes down to. And if he's a 6'7", 6'8" center who can't shoot at all, the context for that type of player is really tough to fit in. There are a lot of contexts where it can work and work really, really well. Like New York next to Cat, or he comes in off the bench. Minnesota playing next to Naz Reid. That's kind of fun. But you have to be able to have that 6'10 plus front court pairing who can really legitimately space the floor. And there isn't an overwhelming plethora of those guys. So I don't know.
I figured it out. I know why you don't like him, Metcalf.
Oh, easy.
No.
I'm
just going to help you. Everybody focus. Listen up. I figured it out. This is help me help you. I figured out the whole thing. Last year, your team, you really liked Collin Murray-Boyles.
A lot.
Like you loved them. And your team made a move this offseason and acquired someone that's sort of similar to Collin.
He's been playing well recently.
I think Julius Randle is making you not like Collin Murray-Boyles.
No, it's nothing. I promise it doesn't have to do with that.
We're gonna dig deeper off the air. I think this might be causing some stress. This is the heart of the problem. So I get it. There's a lot of teams that probably can't draft him that I would like him to go to. That's a tough one to admit, but it is true.
For me, a lot of those teams just are later in the first round.
Yeah. Maybe they trade up for him. I don't know. It's just like, and I think people think when we say that we're like hating on a guy. It's like, no, I just like him as give me a floor spacing 5 with Murray-Boyles next to him. Like, we're cooking with something. But like, yeah, in theory, the idea of like a Golden State's fun. But like, what? They just took TJD. They're going to replace him with Murray-Boyles, or just have 2 of them. Like, one's going to come off the bench right away. I'd be like, it's my lottery pick. Unless you're just like, hey, I think he's going to start for years. Like, and we're going to get rid of Looney. I don't know, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
I really, really want him to work. And it feels like he's going to be the guy where he shoots 90% or something in the combine shooting drill. And everyone's like, oh, see, it's going to be like the Christian Coloco experience where, he shot like 90% on those combine 3-point drills. It's like, oh, you mean this very specific drill that the guy's been training for the last 3 months? He nailed. Cool.
Reed Shepherd jumped to 44. You mean the one that he's been training to jump for that one?
Those always get me. And then you get some intel in here about workouts. It's like, yeah, no, he can't shoot for shit.
Yeah. Right.
So that'll be fun. All right. Who's your last one?
I kind of changed this up. I debated like 3 other players, but I'm going to kind of like spin this, and then I need everyone to just like calm down and let me explain why I'm struggling. Every year there's a player that just seems to not get as much run as I like. And I am like, you know what? I think I'm just going to say to heck with it. And I love you. I'm all in. I love you. And if the team's not going to play him because of the stupid roster construction, well, then fine. Carter Bryant is who I'm struggling with, because every time I watch him, I'm like, easy first rounder for me.
Oh, God, yeah.
Maybe top 20.
I would take him in the lottery.
I would too.
Or at least,
and people are going to think I'm crazy. But I told you the other day after I watched it, I was like, this kid rocks. He's so good. Why don't they play him more? This is so stupid. And I feel like it's slimy business to try to keep him maybe for another year. And I hate it. But they're so much better when he's on the court. It's not even close.
Do
He's
you want some of those numbers?
Yes. I was saying, I texted you the other day. I was like, I'm not around. Can you just text me his the on-off numbers with Arizona? I'm so curious. And he texted me them and I was like laughing. It's like, gosh. And that game against Iowa State, like he comes in and like we'll go like 3 for 4, and then they take him out and don't play him for. I'm like, what are you doing?
Well, he might get back cut once. So
and then the whole overtime was like the best they looked the whole game, and he didn't come off the court. I was like, no shit. Like that's why it's not like he's forceful, he's out of control. He just is a good player on the court with crazy upside. So I'm a huge fan. That's the one I'm struggling with though, because I'm like, can we play the damn kid more? Shout out Caleb Love was great with that full court heave, but he was also like 3 for 87 before he hit that. So I don't know.
Yeah, but he hit the one that counted. The
one was a game changer.
Yeah, I know it wouldn't shock me if I end up having him like top 10.
Oh my!
When we're done, or come draft night. He's one of those kids too that's gonna absolutely destroy workouts and interviews. The intangibles are off the chart, and he's a pretty damn good basketball player too. So when he's on the court, Arizona's offensive rating is 122.7, which is 4th in the country. When he's off, it drops to 114.8, which is 51st. Their defensive rating when he's on is 94.9, which is 10th. And when he's off, it climbs to 100.6, which is 66. Yeah, it's like I'm getting like controlled Tari Eason vibes from him, where like at LSU, Tari Eason was this defensive monster, some of the most impressive defensive playmaking numbers a college wing has ever put up, but he was also just in full, hey, let me go gamble and just wreak havoc all the fucking time mode.
Yes.
And that LSU defense was so much fun, and he was a big reason why. But it's almost like, all right, let's tame that wild beast a little bit, and that's kind of the vibes I'm getting from Carter Bryant. And I just think he's a really smart player, good rebounder, great defender, a lot of versatility there. He's shooting well, good spot up shooter, can make the extra pass. I don't.
I will say this. Carter is like the foundation. Like he's got a ways to go. His upside's ridiculously high. He's got a ways to go, but it's like an unbelievable foundation of like where like a team drafting him would be like, this is the perfect place to build from. Like you're building a house and you're like, well, we get the perfect land. The foundation's awesome. Great view. Like Carter Bryant's like perfect. 6'8", 225. He works his butt off.
Mm-hmm.
We saw him 2 years ago. We say this all the time. He was paper thin when we saw him 2 years ago. Like I was like, this kid works his butt off, but he's got to eat something. And he was good, and the talent was obvious. And then we saw him the next year, and I was like, what did he eat? Looks like the Hulk. Like and you could tell his body's still filling out. So he's going to be this 6'8" physical forward with versatility and good basketball awareness. His per 36 right now is like 13.62, almost 2.22, like 2.2 and 2.5 steals on 53.40 almost. It's good stuff. Like it's one of those, if he was playing major minutes, like we would be having this top like lottery conversation easily. So I don't think it's that ridiculous. I think the defense has been better than you realize, and it's what you said, like intangibles, like teams are going to drool over him. Good athlete. I think the shot looks good. Like he doesn't force the issue.
No, never.
Which is a big maturity thing this year. Like when he got on the court early, he is playing good team ball of like finding open guys, like moving it, like not selfishly like, hey, let me ISO to get mine. Like it's all checking boxes and falling together. I just think he's a stud.
Yeah, and it really wouldn't surprise me if he goes like late lotto. Like when we look at the 10 to 14 range, San Antonio has 2 picks, Sacramento, Golden State, Houston. I love him in basically all of those situations. He's also one of those kind of players where there really isn't a situation that I'm like, I don't think that'd work, because he just kind of does a little bit of everything at a really high level.
Yeah, and like teams are going to be circling about him because he's been on the rise for years. Like he was a late riser up the ranks. People saw him. Like I just think it's the name to watch out for. It's the one that we're probably all like. This could be the big riser throughout the draft process. Or he should be the number 1 breakout player for next year.
Yeah.
If he somehow goes back, like if he
for
says,
some reason
what,
he's getting feedback where he's like, late first round, maybe early second.
Yes.
Like Jaden Ivey had after his freshman
100%.
year, where it's like, maybe like that 25-ish range. It's like, all right, I'll just go back and come back as a sophomore and be a top 5 pick.
Which is like a real possibility here. That's why this one's so special. Because I feel like Tommy Lloyd might be doing some funny business and like trying to be like, hey, Carter made a mistake. Take him out. I'm gonna have him for his next year. Like, I don't know if they get like Kobe and Carter Bryant, and like it'd be very fun. But I also am like, I'm not buying that he couldn't still go top 20 right now.
I would easily take him top 20. I wouldn't let him fall past like 17.
I think teams would too.
Yeah.
I dare Sam Presti not to take him. Like that's he's this is the real deal with this kid. And I think people are gonna be like shocked when you look at his numbers and stuff, but it's just like just watch the tape and understand he was buzzing before. Like I would not be surprised. If people want to, if he doesn't and he stays in sophomore year and people give us crap about it, I'll be like, just give me one more year and then tell me how you're feeling. Like he's stud.
Yeah. Yeah. So like he's kind of like when we were talking about Penda, and I'm like, I'm almost at the point where it's like, if I miss on him, I miss on him. And I'm almost at that point. I'm basically at that point with Carter, but at the other end of the spectrum where it's like, I'm buying in. And if I miss, I miss. And I'll eat that L, but
that would be probably like my top 3 ever. Like if I miss for being in, I'm going to be fine with it.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying of what I've seen in person. I'm going, what is it? Like 2 weeks. I'm going to go back down to Tucson. I'm going to see him and Yegor go toe to toe. So I'm going to be in a dangerous world if I like what I see again. I also am scared I'm going to see him in person and just text all of you from the Nike Hoop Summit squad and be like, I think he gained another 20 pounds. Just be like, what is this kid eating? So, no, it just legit talent. And we've seen the off court stuff too, where we were very impressed. So, you got one more?
I do. My last one, freshman guard. I saw in person. I like him long term. I don't get some of the hype that he's been getting, where I'm starting to see some top 20 and fringe lottery stuff with him. Jase Richardson.
Yeah, no, I'm not there.
I
think you think I'm there. I'm like, no.
Oh, okay. I thought you had easy first round.
I think, I don't know. My board might be, someone might have hacked my board. I think I had him late first, like end of first. Like I would like to get him like at 29. If I loved him, if I was a playoff team, like a title contender.
Yeah, and like I think he's really smart. The scoring efficiency is insane right now. I really like the off-ball creation. I saw him in person. If he measures in at the combine over 6'1", I will be really, really shocked.
That's why we scout in person, folks.
If the second digit is a 2, I will be very surprised.
Over under 6. Over under 6. 6 foot and a half.
No, 6.5. Barefoot?
No, with shoes. They play the game with shoes.
Yeah, no, in shoes he's probably 6'2.5".
Okay, fine. Over under with shoes 6'1" and 3/4.
Over.
Oh, the fact you're even close is scary. I just like how he plays.
So do I. I love the feel. I love the decision making. His workload also could not be easier right now. Where in terms of guard responsibilities, he's fourth. And he's behind Fears, he's behind Akins, he's behind Holloway. Um, he's not asked to do a whole lot, and he's going to have to play point guard at the next level. I think there are signs and flashes here and there that he could do that, but we're seeing next to zero on ball creation from him. I like him long term, and a lot of his numbers, compare to some guys who have been really solid in the league, but they were all multi-year guys, and I'm not sure that the best atmosphere to learn those point guard responsibilities and those reps and that habit is riding the bench in the NBA or in the G League. I just think if he came back for another year and actually took over the primary point guard and creation responsibilities, then it's like, all right, now we're talking about like top 20 lock as a sophomore and one of the most interesting guards, especially returning guards in the country and in the Big Ten. I just think there are a lot of really major red flags on Jase right now.
What I mean, so what is like your biggest red flag besides the size? Is it just like you're not buying like the
responsibilities right now and how how being a point guard in the NBA is fucking hard. It is really fucking hard, and
it's a huge jump for.
He wasn't really the point guard in high school either, and he isn't now, and it's a whole different world. I love him as an off-ball creator. The decision making, the off-ball movement, the connective passing and stuff, but we're not seeing any really high-level decision making or playmaking at a consistent level, because he is their shooting guard, or in some role wise, at some points he's their small forward. They have a really good backcourt, so it's not shocking that Tom Izzo is having this small freshman kind of take the back seat in terms of responsibilities. There are a ton of green flags, a lot to really like, and I like him long term. I just not sure that this year makes the most sense for him unless he gets like that top 25 guarantee.
Yeah. No, I know you went on your rant before. I guess I was just trying to be like, what's the biggest one? I know what you're saying. It's tough because I have him where I have him because you watch him and I'm like, hey, he's really impressive in limited run.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like at some point in the draft, it's like, do we gamble on the efficient guy that maybe with more run could just be like, we struck gold?
Right. Or once you increase the sample size by, 20%, it really comes falling down to earth.
Right, exactly. And I think that's where I'm saying, like, at the end of the first round, that's probably a worthy swing. I also just get to points with like guys where at some point in the draft, like if you can just play, like, I would absolutely swing for you. I'd be like, hey, does this guy make our team better when he's on the court? And he's not, yes, Jase is a little, undersized, but I'm not going to be like, well, he's not Earl Boykins out there. Like, he's averaging 9, 2, and 2 in 22 minutes, but it's like 56, 42, 85 per 36. It's 15, 4, and 3 with almost 1.5 steals on 56, 42, 85. It is tough because it's not just all of a sudden you're like, hey, welcome to the NBA. You learned how to play point guard. You're gonna have to learn how to run the offense at that size. Like you have to. You can't just be an off-ball guard all the time. So I get what you're saying. Another year would be fantastic for him. It's probably a guy that should just go to the combine, see how close he is, and then be
he's an awesome shooter. I buy the shooting a ton. I buy the IQ, I buy the work rate. The footwork, the balance is all super impressive on both ends of the floor. But like I saw, him and John Mobley, and I didn't think there was a major size difference between the two. And I thought Mobley looked stronger and thicker than Jase.
Mobley's a big boy.
He's thick.
He's thick boy.
Yeah.
With a C.
That's
2 C's, which is more
very
respectful.
strong.
Yeah.
So, hey, if he goes out this year and a team takes a swing on him late first, and if they're like, yeah, hey, we know he's not going to be ready this year or even maybe next year, and we're just going to develop him. We're going to get him the reps. We're going to force him to really play point guard at a high level for the first time in his career in the G League and in practice and all that kind of shit. Cool. But if a team's taking him, it's like, all right, cool. We got our point guard, for maybe not this year, but for next year. I think that's a really slippery slope.
I agree. I want to go back real quick because I thought of something that's been bugging me all year. Mobley's always listed at like 180, and I think there's no way. He looks like he's like closer to 200 to me. Am I wrong? If they have Jase Richardson that places at 183, there's like no way Mobley's
probably like
skinnier than him.
No, Mobley's like really strong.
Yeah, he's a big boy. He's thick, like I said. He might be 200, right?
I'd be surprised if he was up to 200, but I would guess in the 90s for
197.
Sure. Like 198.8.
Yeah, 198.8. I don't think it's 200. Yeah, I like Jase, but it is a puzzling one. That's the range where you get some puzzling, like, because he's a BPM darling. And
all the numbers rock.
It's completely fine. I get if you're buying in on him, like he can play, and I've watched him, and I'm like, man, he really knows. Like he sees the floor well. He understands where to get to his spots, with and without the ball. Like he knows how to balance the court. He's a gamer, and yes, you can tell he's like a former NBA vets kid because he just does stuff like right away, like transition, swing, like hit ahead, awesome knows right where to fill. Yeah, he knows right where to fill, and that's probably dad being like, this is how you will get serious eyes for the league, is understanding where to be going. So he does a lot of the little stuff. Another year with Izzo would probably be fantastic for him. But I also see if teams are going to be like, yeah, we like him.
And he very easily could be a guy, because I keep saying all these things I love about his game. And I do, but like if he ends up being one of these guys where withdrawal deadline comes and goes and he's still in, it's like, all right, up you go, buddy. Because if you really do end up in the right situation, he's going to be a big hit. Just a little afraid that it could go really wrong this quickly in his kind of development path. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is a good episode because now I'm puzzled. Like I got to go back to the drawing board with.
Yeah, did we help each other at all, or just make things worse?
I think actually kind of like maybe start rethinking some stuff. So you did help. I feel like maybe I'm a little higher on some, maybe I'm a little lower on some. So yeah, I think you helped. Is there anyone else like rapid fire?
Oh boy,
we could get spicy about, or do we need to talk about a magical place of the evening?
Yeah, and I there are plenty of names that we'll get to in the coming weeks.
Okay.
And shout out to the chat. They've been awesome all night. Really enjoyed the little Ask Me Anything Q&A beforehand that I was doing with them in the chat. We're going to be trying to do that going forward. But before we wrap up, we got to do it. We're going to the the most exclusive club in the NBA world, especially the NBA draft world. No more than 14 guys can be admitted. It is not our big board rankings. It is based on production and vibes and upside and vibes mostly. But again, this is not our lottery rankings. So even though only 14 get in, it's not how we have them ranked. So currently in there, we have Cooper Flagg, Trey Johnson, Derek Queen, Dylan Harper, Jeremiah Fears, Karaspis Yakushonis, Ian Jackson. In line, Asa Newell, LeBaron Philon, Rasheer Fleming, Danny Wolf.
I would like to announce to everyone that I have officially completed a green room graphic. I'm very excited about it. Metcalf loved it. And then it's on my other computer, so I forgot to upload it to this one. And then I tried to do it, and it just didn't work. So next time we'll have the reveal. I'm going to have it actually on the line tomorrow for the reveal. So everybody be looking out on the socials. But, man, I have like 2 names I'm pretty passionate about. What are you thinking? Really good list. We have a good thing going right now. Like, this is a good list. But I want to hear your thoughts.
Let's focus on the guys who are in there. Does anyone need
Okay.
to get booted?
I don't know.
There are 2 names that I'm...
Okay, hit me with one. I feel like one, but I'm also being a little... Oh, you have 2 names. I have one. I feel like Ian maybe's...
Ian's one of them.
Okay, I think Ian, and it's not because I don't like Ian. I just think, he kind of poked his head in the green room. He's had a good time, and then he's like, you know what? He's a bar hopper.
Exactly.
Multiple places. So I think
he came in hot.
Yep.
We knew what we were getting.
Good vibes. You know what Ian is Ian would be like the guy that goes to the blackjack table, like gets up $200 and is like, you know what? I'm good. I'm going to go out night. I'm going to go out for the rest of the night and play with house money.
I think Ian's going to go see what the scene is like down the block and potentially circle back, or maybe he'll find a spot he likes down there.
There's legit people like this that are like, hey, I can't stay in one place so like
they're exhausting.
Ian's good. Yeah, it's fine. Like, all right. So he
had
a great
drag me out. I didn't want to come anyways, and now we're going to spot number 4 of the night.
Yes, exactly. 100%.
Okay.
I think Ian's got to go out.
Ian's out.
Okay. In line or out? No, so he's not in line. He's just gone.
No, okay. He's gone. He can circle back.
Oh, Fears.
Jeremiah Fears. Where are we at?
Where are you at? I knew the gauntlet was going to be real.
I'm still in. I still like him a lot. Conference play hasn't been the kindest.
The gauntlet was real. I told you.
Yeah.
The gauntlet was real.
To be expected.
Which is, yes.
There's still a lot to like.
I'm still in.
You good with him in?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm in.
Okay. The other name, I'm not saying to kick him out.
Oh.
I just want to throw it out there.
Oh. No.
Derek Queen needs to give me some better fucking body language, because he is a buzzkill just sulking in the corner every time a new round of shots comes by and he doesn't get one.
I love to look at splits and look at progressions throughout the year, and I almost fell out of my chair the other day when I saw Derek Queen's like splits throughout the year. Not good. I was like, no, whoa, this one doesn't match at all. It was ugly. I also think he just had a double with like going 3 for 14 or something. Oh man, I can't do that yet.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just Derek, you're on watch.
You know what? He's gotten a couple warnings from the bouncers.
He's being a little sad boy soaking in the corner, and
not loving it. Play his favorite song. Transitioned from party in the USA too quickly. The DJ is just like, nah, I'm not feeling it. I don't know. Derek's on. He's, eye in the sky. We're watching Derek Queen now.
That may not be a popular take on the line, but
I still love him.
I'm not liking what I'm seeing.
No, the vibes aren't good right now. They're still good with Derek Queen, but they're just not good currently.
We'll see.
Zach in the comments, they stopped playing Queen. Damn, that one's way better than my joke.
Right there for you.
Oh gosh. Crazy little thing called love. Okay. What do you got?
In line, Asa Newell, Phylon, Fleming, Danny Wolf. I'm not sure I see any movement there.
I'll be honest. I don't think I have anyone in. This is why the green rooms, you don't just get in to get in. No, I think you got to stay in line. But I do have 2 names I would like to nominate for the line.
I have 2 names that I would like to nominate to just stroll right the fuck
I have 2 names I would like to get red carpeted in.
a Mr. Arias Bailey and VJ Edgecombe.
Easy ends.
Okay, cool.
Can we just talk about it? It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Can we just talk about it? Pick which one you want to talk about.
Floor is yours. I'm happy either way.
I mean, hell yeah. They both look awesome. VJ looks terrifying, and it's so funny how the role has changed and how quickly things look different when the role has changed and the ball moves and the touches are a little bit more obvious and how comfortable he looks now. I think we're back. I think we're seeing Bahamas VJ right now, except for a couple more posters, but we're close. We're seeing that confidence, Metcalf.
We're getting there. Some of the like off-ball creation with him running a second side pick and roll, attacking closeouts, creating for others out of those drives, especially in that BYU game, has been very good. It's been very encouraging. The left hand still needs a ton of work, whatever.
Yeah.
It'll get there. I'm betting on the kid. I'm betting on the intangible. I'm betting on the physical tools, the defense, and now he's making shots. And it's amazing what a solid jumper can do for you.
Yeah.
He looks very, very good. And it's more in that, this was one of the questions before we hit recording in the chat was about VJ, and it's like the comps with Mitchell, and it's like don't do that. Don't do Donovan Mitchell. It's more so Ben Mathurin with high level defense
and more pop.
Yeah,
Mitchell is very like don't get up there.
Archetype. He's not going to be that lead.
No.
Offensive creating guard. He's more of like just an incredible complementary option in the backcourt.
Yeah, I think he'd be like a dream too, like number 2 option. Like if he is whoever exactly what you said, complementary option like in the backcourt. If he's an asset with whoever you have, like
yeah.
Whew. I don't know if I still. It's tough. I'm trying to figure out like who I would absolutely love VJ to go to. Charlotte.
Charlotte would be fun. Brooklyn. Toronto.
I do like Toronto a little bit. I don't know. He's very, very fun. Also, just him and just put him in San Antonio, and him and Steph Castle could ruin lives. I don't know. He is just. I think he's got it. Yeah. I don't think he's got that alpha mentality in the right way. I think it's like the contagious, like good teammate. But when you toss the ball up, I'm spitting venom. I just love the way the kid plays. And now he's shooting it, and I'm like, oh, gosh, if he's shooting it. Because I still think there's playmaking stuff. You're starting to see it. He had a couple fantastic reads in that BYU game. He's just been cooking lately. So, yeah, it's awesome. Anything else, or should we just end it with a heater?
So we're up to 8 now in. Let's put 2 in line. Let's build out the line a little more.
Okay.
Is there anyone that you want to nominate for that? I'm going to throw Carter Bryant.
I was son of a. For the line, huh?
For the line.
Well,
Hugo Gonzalez getting his most minutes the other day.
I saw he's starting to heat up a tiny bit.
Cannon catchings, kick and shoot.
I still can't figure out that's who I should have done for this damn episode. Yeah. But I also just like I know my answer for him, but
I have him at like 31. And it's like if he stays in and I'm a contender and I can be patient. Yeah, I'm going to take a swing on the awesome athlete who's a lights out off ball shooter. Chat's nominating Miles Bird. Love
I was
Miles.
just gonna say Birdman. I'm in.
Sorber, Miles Bird in line. Alrighty.
I'm not joking. The last two comments are Miles Bird and Sorber. That's what I was looking at. I want to nominate Sorber because I'm imagining how ridiculous Sorber would be walking up in line. I feel like he's one that would just be like wearing sunglasses in the club the whole time. Crazy aura. But Birdman has been
What word did you just use?
It's slipping by you.
Take the headphones out. Take a lap.
Miles Bird. What do we think?
He rocks. I would take him in the first.
We put them both in line?
Yeah, fuck it.
All right, good.
We make the rules. There are no rules. All right. So currently in the green room, we have Cooper Flagg, Trey Johnson, Derek Queen, Dylan Harper, Jeremiah Fears, Kasparis Yakashonis, Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe. In line, Asa Newell, who has been just standing out there.
I can't. And he just kicked Murray-Boyles' butt, and we just can't get him in.
LeBaron Philon just for a minute. Then Rasheer Fleming, Danny Wolf, Carter Bryant, Miles Bird, Thomas Sorber.
Asa is like, you know what he is right now? He's got the foldable lawn chair and he's sitting in line. He's like, I've been here so long. He's got a cooler and he's pulling out a newspaper to be a jerk, and he's just sitting there with his legs crossed. He's like, are you guys ever gonna let me in? Oh man, Asa. And I just couldn't be a bigger fan. Couldn't be a bigger fan, but we just have to get him in.
I feel like we haven't had like that game where it's like, oh shit, there it is. Like he's just been really good all year.
He's been good. He's been solid. He's been consistent.
Which, for a toolsy freshman forward, what else can you ask for? A little more, apparently.
Ace is trying to do the night at the Roxbury where they're just trying to like talk to every single bouncer to be like, come on, let us in.
Yeah, he's waiting for that shift change. All right, that's where we're going to end it. Rucker, this was blessed. As always, he is Tyler Rucker. You can follow him at Tyler_Rucker on Twitter and at TylerRucker.BlueSky on Blue Sky. And you can find all of his stuff at NoCeilingsNBA.com along with mine and the rest of the team's written work. No Ceilings on YouTube. Appreciate everyone in the chat. You guys were awesome. A lot of fun back and forth all night, and really enjoyed that kind of Q&A beforehand. I'll be trying to do that basically probably through for the rest of this draft cycle. So if you want to come chat, ask questions, NBA, college hoops, international, movies, whatever, come hang out for a little bit beforehand. I am Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me at TMetcalf11 on Twitter and at Tyler Metcalf .Blue Sky, however those handles go. You'll find me. Look me up. You'll find it. But if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and a 5-star rating. Until next time, see ya.